Good morning, everyone. Hello, it's Mrs. Lee here. I'm in my office. It's a little bit untidy. Shh. Dear. I've got Wriggles here. Wriggles says, hello, everybody. What else have I got here? I've got my favourite book. That's right, it's the Shout Out Assembly book. Got a few more days to get some more names in here. Is your name in here? If it isn't, then you need to get your grown-up to email me. You need to get the people in the bubble to email me. Show me some pictures of your wonderful learning, what you've been getting on up to at home. Lee can't speak again, can she? She's getting too excited. Every time we talk about the Shout Out book, I get excited. Right. I've only got one more day for you to be able to share with me something for the Shout Out book. So get your skates on, guys. Let me know what you've been up to. Because that's right, we're nearly at the end of term. Oh, where has the time gone? We have 3 more days left. Now, on Thursday's assembly, when we say goodbye, I am going to show you something pretty amazing. All right, it's all ready to go. I'm just holding on to it at the moment. What's she talking about now? Well, it's a special video. And I know some people in Bubble 6 have already had a sneaky peek. So everybody in Bubble 6, shh. It's very exciting, isn't it? Mrs. Lee is going to share that with everybody very, very soon. It's a video of all the teachers saying goodbye. All right, but that's not today. Wriggles wants to know what we're talking about today. Well, we've done all of our golden rules and we've done all of our British values, haven't we? We've talked about those. I want to talk about something that's, you've all done this. I think way back in September, some of you were new to our school, weren't you? That's right, if you're in Bubble 1 or 2, or if you are in Class 1 or 2, you started school, didn't you? Well, the Year 1s did that, but they did that the year before. And the Year 2s did that, but they did it 2 years before. So we've all, even Mrs. Lee, had our very first day at school. I want you to try and cast your mind back, think about that day. Can you remember? I can. Even mine, which was over 40 years ago. I can remember my first day of school. I was a bit worried. Were you? I bet you were. We've got new reception starting next year. We're going to say goodbye to our Year 2s. We're going to be starting the juniors. So we might get that feeling again in school where we're feeling a bit worried. So I thought maybe I'll share with you a really good book. It's called, can you read that? It's called Billy and the Big New School. Now for some of you in Year 2, you're going to a big new school, aren't you? All right, and I think some of you have started new schools. Some children like Darius. Hi Darius, thank you for all the lovely messages. Darius is going to start a new school. This is a story you all know very well. Are you ready? Billy was starting a new school. It was very exciting, but it made him feel a little bit funny inside. On the Sunday before it started, Billy didn't feel like any breakfast. Not at all. No thanks, Mummy. He kept thinking about the great big school and all the great big children. Billy began to wish that he could stay at home with his mum. Oh, you're just like a little bird who doesn't want to leave his nest, said Billy's mum, giving him a hug. Put your thumbs up if you felt a little bit like that. Can you remember? Billy took the rest of his breakfast out to the bird table and he waited for the birds, who were his friends. The birds weren't scared of Billy because he was small like them and he knew how to stand very still. Billy knew all the different birds. He'd made pictures of them on the kitchen walls. His mum had helped him to write their names. He had a picture of a blackbird, a starling, a pigeon, a thrush and a sparrow. Wow, look at those pictures. That Sunday morning, Billy talked to the birds and he told them all about his new school. He told them that he was worried in case he got lost. And he was worried in case he started to cry. He told the birds that his mum had bought him some new shoes, but the laces were a bit difficult. "Oh, I wish I was a bird," said Billy. "Then I wouldn't have to worry about the school or shoelaces." Suddenly the bird started making a terrible noise. Billy saw a new bird sitting on the ground. It was a tiny sparrow. All the other birds were picking on it and trying to chase it away. But the little sparrow couldn't fly properly. It was really ready to look after it. It wasn't really ready to look after itself. It was the smallest, grubbiest, weediest, most dusty bird Billy had ever seen. So Billy called his mum. "Mum, Mum, come quick." Billy's mum ran out and chased the other birds away, and then they carried the little sparrow inside. Ah, I'm glad that little sparrow had Billy to look after him. The kitchen was warm, but the sparrow was shivering. Billy found the box from his new shoes, and he made a little bed out of cotton wool, and he put the bird gently inside. He could feel its heart beating. Then Billy gave the bird a bowl of water and a tiny piece of bread, but it wasn't hungry. So Billy sat and talked gently to the sparrow. All that day, the sparrow lay in the box and watched Billy with a big round eye. And all that day, Billy's mum got things ready for the next day at Billy's new school. She wrote Billy's name on all his clothes. She wrote Billy's name on his bag, on his pencil case, and even the new shoes with the difficult laces. That night Billy had a scary dream. He dreamt that he was a little bird who couldn't fly and the other birds were picking on him. And then his mum came into the bedroom and she gave him a big hug and Billy felt better. Did you feel like that? In the morning, Billy woke up so early for school that it was still dark. He'd forgotten all about the little sparrow until he walked into the kitchen and he saw the sparrow sitting in the middle of the floor. It had hopped out of the shoebox all by itself. "Oh, we must be feeling better," said Billy's mum. "I think it's time to let it go." The bird had to go into the big world, just like Billy. So Billy gently picked up the bird and opened the window. "You have to fly away," he said. "You have to learn to look after yourself. A bit like me." The little bird looked up at Billy. It seemed to understand. And suddenly it hopped onto the windowsill and it flew away into the sky. It's a lovely picture, isn't it? I don't know if you can see. After breakfast, Billy took his new bag and his mum helped him with his shoelaces. And then it was time for, you guessed it, school. Look at him looking so smart. Now, Billy's teacher was called Mrs. Berry, and she was very nice. And she showed Billy where to hang his coat, and where the toilets were, and the sink to wash his hands, and the paints that he was going to use, and the computer that he could go on, and the playhouse he could play with, and the reading corner where Billy found all sorts of books, some of them about birds. Sounds a little bit like our school, doesn't it? We've got all those things. Some of the children were new as well. And after a while, another boy came over and looked at Billy's book. And then Billy had a friend. After lunch, Mrs. Berry talked to the class about animals and she asked if anyone had a pet. Daisy said she had a dog. Callum said he had a cat. Jeremy had a gerbil and Wendy had a worm. And Tom and Maddie the twins had a tortoise and Billy was very interested. That's a good thing, isn't it, to be interested in other people? That helps you to make friends, doesn't it? "What about you, Billy?" said Mrs. Berry. Billy thought for a moment. Then slowly he stood up. In a tiny voice he began to tell everyone about the bird table, and then he told them about the poor little sparrow and about how he had put it in a shoebox until it was ready to fly. Do you remember? When he had finished the story, Mrs. Berry began to clap. And so did all the other children in Billy's class. And then Billy sat down. His face was bright red, but his smile was the biggest smile in the school. Do you think he might have made some friends by being kind and helpful? That night Billy had another dream, but this one wasn't scary at all. He dreamt he could fly over the house, over the garden, over the town, and way over the big school, just like a bird. Billy and the birds flew high above the world and turned somersaults over the moon. A few days later, Billy brought his new friend home from school, and they rolled in the garden and got all dirty, but Billy's mum didn't mind. Billy and his friend had a picnic because they were very hungry, and all the birds came looking for crumbs. Suddenly Billy saw one bird that looked exactly like the sparrow from the shoebox, but he couldn't quite be sure because this sparrow was bigger, and this sparrow was braver, and this sparrow was happier, and this sparrow had lots of friends. Bit like, that's right, just like Billy. Put your hand up in your bubble or at home if you remember feeling a little bit like Billy all those years ago. Oh, you might feel like that again when you come back in September. That's okay to feel worried. All right, Mrs. Lee will get worried as well. It's okay to feel worried. We've talked about that before, haven't we? Right, Wriggles, you might be a little bit worried because you'll see lots of new faces in school with all those new reception children. But it's okay, isn't it? Because we're all going to look after each other, aren't we? We'll remind each other of the golden rules. We'll also talk about the British values and all those things. All the lovely grown-ups in school and all of you in school will make Hertford Infant School a happy place. So it's okay to be worried, all right? Mrs. Lee is going to talk to you some more tomorrow about things to look forward to when you come back. Don't forget about the shout out assembly. Get your grown up to share with me some great news. And don't forget that I'm going to share the most amazing video ever soon. Right. Oh, Mrs. Lee, you forgot again. It's the school prayer. That's one thing I really love to say every day because it makes me feel part of Hertford Infant School. It reminds me of all the good things. Right, you can close your eyes, you can put your hands together, you can fold your arms, you can do whatever you like as long as you're being sensible. But you must join in with the words. Let me hear them. Help me to do the things I should, to be to others kind and good, in all my work and all my play, to grow more loving every day. Amen. Right. See you tomorrow. Bye.